All right, and I know we short on public and we're short on others as well. I know Ed's out of the country, so he runs some of our committees. We've been doing a lot by calls meetings. Treasurer's report. I've got a couple of the in between. Charlene is now sending out quarterly reports. That one is just now, Stacy was able to download it. I will scan this in and send this out to you. Just in terms of, she literally handed it to me. That's what she was up here reviewing with me. I've also got some of the individual that we can't actually download anymore, that I will email out to y'all that I got right before I headed over here. Just overall expenditures through the end of August should have been at 66%, 66.6% or below. We were at 65. There's a couple of categories that are over that. Of course, our fuel on both sides of the equation's over, as we always see. Nice thing is revenue, while you'd expect that number to be at that number or below, is at actually 107%. The fuel and oil, of course, drives that number a lot. But even our hangar fees are running well above that number too. So again, everything looks good. There's a few numbers that are above budget, but I will send these out, and it's got some of her notes on it that you can see. And we can email her or Charlene with any questions you might have. Randy?
Yes.
Your report?
June sales was pretty much on standard par, 4,100 gallons of 100 low lead pump. July was 4,200 gallons, and then August we had about half a month was rain, so we went down to just below 19,000 for income on 2,700 gallons pumped. Jet A's been staying on par. We've been really doing well. 8,400 in June. We did 5,400 in July. We had some hot weather, but then we're back up in August to 6,200. We've ordered Jet A. We had it in the last 5 days, so we'll be doing a price adjustment this week. We need to sell about 900 more gallons of 100 low lead, the high dollar stuff that's in the tank. Once we get below 2,000 gallons, we can order 100 low lead, and the price should drop almost $1. That's how much it's dropped in the last 2 months. Last time we ordered was like June the 2nd when we got it filled, so, or July the 2nd. So, other than that, traffic was really big and brisk today. We had a good year limit this week. We had the Black Hawk in today, so we're staying pretty steady on our traffic. With the blue skies today, traffic was really high, so hopefully we'll be able to drop our price soon on our fuel. Rotating beacon's been moved, so I'll let that be a segue into the next chapter of our life.
Is it working?
Not yet. It is relocated, but not hooked up yet.
Apparently Randy said he went to light up. He had not mentioned that before, so yeah, they're just in the process of hooking all the wires back.
Soon, very soon.
Hey, Randy, not to put you on the spot, but this came up as I was making phone calls, getting ready for the meeting today.
Good.
In terms of I don't know if you call it landscaping, because we don't really have landscaping, but grass maintenance. Yes. Around the terminal and common areas out there.
Yes.
I know we had some equipment stuff that kept that from happening at some point. Do y'all have a schedule y'all adhere to?
We try to cut every day, and every 7 days start over. But with the rain that we had, when it rains, a heavy soaking rain, we can't cut for like a day and a half. And we haven't had any drying weather. The weatherman said we're going to get 7 days of rain, so we're going to cut every day for the next 7 days to get everything back where it needs to be. Because it gets out of hand when it rains every day. I mean, we just cannot get out there. So we're renewing our efforts since we've got 7 days of great weather, low humidity, so we'll get it all back in shape this week. I'm cutting all day tomorrow.
Got it.
Line on as well. So.
Yes. any questions for Randy?
In the, using the Roundup or whatever it is,
Yes.
around the lights looks
Ooh,
really,
that stuff works nice. Yes, it does.
great, really helpful. Thank y'all for doing that.
Get more of it out.
Hey, just a question on, around like the west, next to new T-hangers, and that area out there, how are we gonna cut those areas?
The
Like,
bank?
Yeah, the ditch.
The bank right behind the new hangars is full of rocks. We can't run our zero turn, or we can't get the bush hog in there. So we gotta go through, once it dies down this fall, and get all those rocks out, the granite, and then the rest of
Even
the
the
time.
area between the
We're
hangar
gonna
and the
spray,
taxiway.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's, we can't get down into the ditch, so we can
And I know
service
it's
stone it.
seeded for erosion control, but it's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's waist high.
Rocks are,
Yeah.
Where are you buying your house?
So-
County gets it for us.
Been out there when that zero turn was cutting grass, that's dangerous.
Yeah, I was throwing rocks everywhere.
You're right,
Raise the deck.
Yes.
that's dangerous.
Yeah. We maybe wanna look at putting culvert pipe down there, engineer, Phil.
Yes,
We
sir.
may,
Same stuff I buy.
if we get money available in the future,
It's,
culvert,
Glass
connect those
block.
ditches for E, F, G, and I, connect them so we can flatten it and cut it up. That's the only way to put grates in.
Yeah, when we,
I can't hear say either one, Stacy.
with some of the development that goes in, when we have to cut, like we have gradual, but when we undercut it and we have extra dirt, and then we will be putting in piping in there to make the connections for all those hangers,
Yes.
and then we can just add to the pipe. There's some weird things with supply chain stuff going on related to storm drain pipe right now,
All right.
in addition to electrical vaults. So,
Yes.
yeah.
You're right.
But you
Raise a
can't-
good
that can be a
concern,
long-
Wendell, because it is,
long
unless you
I
do
mean,
it
it's
with weeding,
fine.
that's the only way to cut it.
It's not, I mean, it's not hurting anything, I was just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
It
nobody's
looks
walking.
unsightly, we're trying to get that
Yeah.
taken care of.
The problem when you Roundup, it kills everything, then you
Yeah.
get weeds, you get weeds next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And that was seeded, all that seeded for erosion control.
Erosion control.
Yeah.
The roof over all the hangers.
Yeah, that's
Keep it
right.
cool.
That spring would end up coming back to the lead, not the bullet stuff.
I use that stuff at Tractor Supply. 75 bucks a jar.
All right.
That's all I got.
I appreciate you fixing that back gate too.
Oh, yes, sir.
Y'all
That
jumping on
was nice, very nice.
All right, here we go. Buckle up. Lot of good things going on. I'll start with on the hangar project. We've now gone the period with still holding some retainage on them. That's about 50 grand. At this point, we're fine with releasing that. There were some things we hoped to do with them by holding prices and add some stuff, but now we've had enough inflationary thing. None of those unit prices, they'll allow expanded work. So we need approval from the authority to release retainage on the hangar project, the Bartow paving. We recommend doing that. So-
Did we get our little corner paving fixed and all that stuff yet? or
So
we still waiting?
the paving is not part of that. That's additional. We're gonna pave when we had the folks come back out.
So they
We've
have to
not
back out.
been able to get them back out. The Apron Expansion project, we have paving in that.
Gotcha.
But, and I spoke specifically with a gentleman in that hangar. The expectation then, this was back in
Oh, yeah.
April or May,
Yeah.
and said the expectation was that we'd have C.W. Matthews out June or July. He was gonna be gone the first half of the year, and we'd have that taken care of by the time we got back, and we still haven't had C.W. Matthews out because we didn't get our electrical vault and the project couldn't start. So we'll do that
Still on the list.
in that project,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good.
And I'll
And
talk
speaking
about
about that, I followed up with him almost every week, and he's understanding, he's on board, he realizes it, so he's a patient man, he knows it's coming.
And just like we said before, that was not an issue with a piece of equipment, like something happened and didn't get paid. That's us adding one extra unit to each of those buildings, and because of the way that ditch was, that was never intended to be paid. Now we have the ability to go back, because of the way the ditch got profiled, and add that little triangular shape and be helpful to them, so.
Thank you.
So that retainage release is a.
It's
action on
100%
that
done.
Yeah,
Yep,
100% done. We've got, anything that goes on now, something breaks or something, that's just us regular maintenance things.
Is there any warranty period on the new tools? Contractor?
You've got some different parts, like the roof has a certain thing, the doors have a certain warranty, all that. But as far as the actual construction of the site and erection, all the erosion controls
100% done.
set, everything's good, yeah.
Yeah, is there a motion to release that?
Motion to approve. Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Okay, now I'm going to remind everybody, so we had the grouping of the 5 projects we had funded, and then the terminal, this is 6, and they put it all together. So of those 5, we completed previously the new wind sign, LED wind sign. Also in there was the beacon relocation to move it out of the way of the new terminal building and repainting while we had it down. So that's been just freshly painted, moved. They're still hooking up those wires, so that'll be on shortly. The next one in there is the Apron Expansion, which is coming back to where a new terminal will be. It's expanding about 70 feet of new pavement from kind of the bottom of the handicap ramp, put it that way, all the way over to where the jog in the pavement, it gets a little deeper back as you go back into the horseshoe. That section through there, what's going to be in front of the new terminal, it's basically bringing that ramp about 70 feet back, and it's overlaying the existing ramp that's right in front of that, only that section. So in that project, because of the paving expansion, in that project was the existing electrical vault gets replaced and put kind of back behind the existing terminal. That project has been held up. That's a C.W. Matthews project. That project has been held up. They have everything else, the electrical vault. And we've had some other airfield lighting projects held up by supply chain issues with electrical vault. Now it's gone on long enough. Came up with a creative solution. There's a Connex out there that's set up as a temporary vault adjacent to where the vault will go when it arrives. The jack and bore and all the running of the new home run cables to that vault area is pretty much done at this point. That's all not on the clock for the project because we still have to keep time in that project for when the real vault comes, but it's all to get that out of the way so it can go. So we think it's probably, we may be 2 to 3 weeks out from them wanting to start, but we'll coordinate that with Randy as we go forward. When we do that project, the aircraft that are tied down out in that ramp will need to be temporarily shuffled around like we've done with the marking project and things like that. The result of that project you will see about 70 feet additional depth of ramp out there. And ultimately, when it comes in, we'll have our new electrical vault, which helps lead into our electrical project that's coming up. The other projects in there is the AWAS relocation. That's a state contract with DBT. The AWAS equipment was delivered out there. They don't, because it's a state contract, DBT does not, a not super job of communicating like when that equipment's going to be delivered and things like that, and it's their equipment. You think they would want to be a little more concerned about their stuff being out there, but that's what goes on statewide. So the equipment's in place. That AWAS is going to be located over kind of behind Hangar A. There's a radius around that AWAS equipment in the tower that has to be free of trees. There's a tower that's going to be about 15 feet taller than the hangar structure, and that will put that wind sensor in a free and clear area. So that's
So
part
which
of-
side of Hangar A, is it going to be on the east
on
side or
the
the
west,
west?
on the back
It's going to be on the west side, on the back
Yeah.
side?
Mhm.
Kind of where that temporary road is?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
In the same, if you think about that grouping of AWAS equipment we have now, it's kind of, it looks the same basically. The tower looks the same, it's just a big upgrade in the height. So that's one of the projects too. The equipment's there. There's some coordination we'll do on running power and a phone line out to that site. Once it gets 100%, they confirm back to us that that's been okayed by FAA. But that'll go on its own kind of arc since that's a state contract. And then the terminal building itself, we have the ramp expansion, there's site work where the terminal's going, and then the building. Out of the change in the building roof line and all that, that architecturally, those plans are completed, been given to the contractor. couple weeks, he's supposed to have that adjusted pricing back. We'll share that, coordinate with Don, who can send it out to you guys. And then the arc of that is basically we've got to do sequentially the ramp expansion, cut down the site, and then the building pad, and that can go forward. So just kind of for picturing it, when you drive around and you come up and kind of tee into that road, that tee in the road that goes to the right, that's literally going to stay there. It'll be built up a little bit, but the terminal will sit right there. You'll turn to the right. Our parking lot is to the south side of the building, and literally we'll go all the way up, about stopping as far south as the bottom of the handicap ramp. So as that gets paved, you'll be able to park over there. Once we put the parking lot, you'll be able to use the parking lot if you want to prior to the terminal being up, but it lets, we've got some space to the north of that from where they can stage and they can be working out of. So that's kind of the arc of that we'll see going. So there'll be disruption kind of in that area, starting with this next project. The expansion will go through 10 months or something of being out there doing things. But that's the arc of the terminal. And then beyond that, about the time of our last meeting out of the 5-year CIP, we got word, tentative allocations of 2 new
Hey,
projects.
Phil, before you move on to that, so once they start working on the apron expansion and the vault, how long do those 2 projects take to complete?
So because we put the temporary vault in, the weight on that vault supply chain won't even matter. When it shows up, it'll go in, but it won't slow down anything else. It's physically, that's been moved. So now the apron expansion, it's a 60-day project. And that's contractually how FA has us bid it. CW Matthews, we've had this happen before where they come in and they say, we actually want to go 24-hour shift. They're technically allowed to do that in the contract. So you mentally say that's about a 2-month, technically they have 2 months to do it. I would bet that they would get done quicker than that.
Okay, and then the terminal building, you think we're probably 2 to 3 weeks from the architectural having the new pricing?
Right, correct.
So-
So while the ramp expansion's going on, we'll be vetting through all that, having that teed up. In between the 2, there is a small site project that has the paving of the parking lot and the entrance road, and then shading down the high spot where the building sits, so that the building contractor comes in and does
Okay.
that.
So in what I'm hearing then, are we 60 to 90 days then from site work on terminal building?
Technically, there's 60 days in that apron expansion contract, so if they started in 2 to 3 weeks, then they'd have 60 days technically. I don't think they'll,
That's why I said 90.
yeah, there you
60 to
go.
90.
Yeah,
So we in 90 days, we could be moving
into,
dirt.
for the site.
Yes, I.
So if it takes Stacy and Randy 30 days to plan a groundbreaking for that terminal building, they need to get started in about 30 days.
Yeah, if we, yes. Yes. Now, I will say that because they're gonna be out working on that apron expansion project, and they have to stage in that area, so, if they just start working on it, we will make the project without slowing around, have them park stuff in a way that it enhances the look of the, event rather than detract.
Right.
They've driven lots of front-end loaders and backhoes and stuff, so it should be no problem.
Let me lose my plane.
Yes. Yes, I think we will volunteer to do this, right. It should be fine. But yeah, that's a good time.
Yeah.
November 1st.
That's probably good, yeah.
So have they moved the electrical? Is all the stuff moved out of the current vault now?
They put a 20-foot shipping container.
We
right behind
basically
the
work it out
FBO,
with
all
them,
the
put
wire
that
going into the-
Connex temporary serve, so
Not yet.
they just kind of ate the cost to do that, because, no, and technically, that electric contractor, Trinity, is a sub to CW Matthews.
Yeah.
They were also electrical contractor that was the low bidder on the wind cone and the beacon movement repainting. So they were out there doing kind of multiple things at one time.
The rehab of the beacon looks great.
It does.
And it looks
Looks like a real beacon.
It looks like a road. Patina, as much as the
nice.
patina fans, it'll look good.
Looks
And you incrementally, you're like the crack slam marking, and that's really a big deal. And then the apron expansion, you know, although it's a strip through there, when you see that will give us 200-foot deep apron. Still isn't great, but that is really skinny through there for circulation, and especially for what we get in, and even just 172s going around in there, it's difficult. So all that'll be just enhance the user's experience. So
Any plans to LED that beacon?
the next time you have an issue with it,
Yeah.
or there's something I'm gonna talk about in a second that you might get something snuck in there.
Okay. And before you get to that, so terminal building site work takes how long with terminal building?
Yeah, so the terminal building site work itself has the cutting down of where the pad's going. It also has the paving, and we won't pave the asphalt in the winter. So you'd say you probably got about 30 days worth of the site work, and then the asphalt will work it in related to weather and all that. And also we're sensitive to when they're out there with some of the equipment and cranes and walls and that kind of thing, turning, and it'll tear up that new asphalt. And we're pretty stable, unpaved as it is right now, so we'll kind of work to, make sure that when we're done, our new asphalt looks still like new asphalt. So it could very well be that happens in March or April that we actually do the paving.
Where I was getting to, site work versus when vertical starts happening.
Yeah, so you'd have, after the C.W. Matthews project, we'll just talk about physically the building, sitting about 30 days of site work, and then that building itself was like 270 days for the whole thing, but that's a window that, at the time we did it, the Candido, the contractor, felt like they could go quicker. We'll be patient on the supply chain stuff. If we get something where there's a beam or something that we gotta wait on, and that, that could impact it, but you add all that up and you get into, about a year from now, with the 90 days and then back goes. And we will, through that supply chain, if there's something we get hung up in the peak, then we will absolutely come back and go, hey, you want to switch this out so we can, if it doesn't do anything that impacts in a negative way the end product, then we'll bring you options on that so we can keep it moving.
Good. All right.
And one thing you need action on is our task order for the construction phase of the C.W. Matthews ramp project. We've approved, we approved signing all contracts related to that project. And we signed the C.W. Matthews up. We did not sign our task order for that construction phase. So I think we've covered that previously, but because we did not present that to you, get signed, if we want to reapprove that portion of it tonight, that'll tidy up all of that project. You've already got it budgeted, you've already got it in all the project, but just to put a fine point on that, so that would be the Edge Design Group's construction phase task order for the Apron Expansion project.
Is there a motion for that? So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
And because that one has federal money in it, we will be, during those construction phases, that one we'll be out there full time, because that's required by that contract. Okay, then we have received tentative allocation for probably about $1 million in grant money for some new projects beyond this. One is airfield electrical, to rehab all the airfield lighting to LEDs, which is a tremendous, fantastic project for us. Runway paving and airfield lighting are both projects that are about 20-year lifespans. So about every 20 years you're redoing the lights. So with this in place, and then we're working toward a runway rehab after that, and then you'll be set for 20 years on those. So You were offered that grant, you were offered a second grant, which is the rehabilitation of the ramp that's essentially out in front of Garrett's Kwanzaa Hut. So when you go out there, you can see the delineation between what was new going to the north and what's new going to the south, and new going to the south. It's that section right there. You got the grant offer for that too. So that one, yeah, so that's big to get both of those on the heels of what we got last time. So we're doing great. So what we need tonight is approval for the design and bid task order for the airfield lighting project. And what that will put us on an arc for is that will be designed this fall, submitted to FAA and DOT for review, and then they would likely give us permission to go to bid on that project around the first of the year. That would be advertised 30 days, bid would be awarded, they order the materials, and then we'd probably end up with the project actually happening, depending on supply chain with the materials, late spring, something like that.
Bid and task order for the rehab of the ramp, or
This is for airfield lighting,
lighting,
rehabilitation, design and bid.
I guess I'll make a motion.
So moved. Second, bid for, and task order for the airport lighting and rehab bid project. Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So when we hit the December meeting, that thing will probably be about going out for bid. So as we get to that, there we'll be able to inform everybody, tell the tenants when that's coming, but that will be a significant upgrade. Also, it uses less power, so there's electrical savings with that and some positives out of that. The apron in front of Garrett's, that was designed previously. There is some additional work we're doing that related to the drainage issue you have, where that finished floor is much lower and all that. But we're gonna scope that out and we'll come back with that ad in the December meeting. We'll talk about we'll kind of analyze all that and look at how we can clean it up. Because since that was designed originally, there's been some stuff done up there. We'll kind of look at all that. That will end up going on the bid on the same time frame as the lighting project. So out there, probably doing that construction work in April or May of next year would be a guess on that.
Bill, do you get any additional light on the LED lights? Because they last so long?
Yeah, I mean, because typically general aviation airports versus commercial airports, that's direct burial cable. So the overall system with the cabling and all that, you still get about that 20-year lifespan. The bulb, you get a lot more use out of it. And also so you get brand new project, what you have is spares. It's not paid for in the grant, but we'll work with Randy, so we're ordering some extra lights to have in place as a mower clips one or something like that. You'll get more lifespan out of the bulbs. The overall system will still last approximately 20 years. Yeah, but it looks great.
You won't have to worry about it.
You don't need it.
I don't want either.
That's great news.
Yeah.
That's all great news.
Don't throw rocks.
So that's the cutting edge. That's the cutting edge. So you'll be in the first quarter of the 103 airports in Georgia, probably in the first 25, getting that LED lighting system.
I see it. I see it. It's
And I tell you, Lane, I think I told you this before, but the crack seal remarking and
Yeah,
new paint with the reflective is, at night is,
Oh, yeah.
Way better.
it's so much better.
Yeah.
It's just so much better.
Yeah. And you get the lights and the beacon. We had a discussion, which is that doesn't require any action, but we're going to work on it. It's the reason the AWAS needed to move, but some of those trees that are kind of west of the beacon area, we'll delineate the property line and then try to get some of those trees up there to help with the visibility on the beacon.
Yeah, on the west side.
Yeah.
You need to cut more trees.
There you go. This is also, we get into the season now for the 5-year capital improvement plan, and they have changed the format of that thing, so we're gonna coordinate that. We'll send it out to Don, send it out to everybody and getting that submitted, and that is all we have, just those couple things, nothing else other than that.
Survey,
Well-
Vincent, just a survey.
No.
remember?
No.
There's, with that-
Phil, I mean, I think what we need on the CIP, the submission date's moved up to November 11th.
It has, and they changed the format and added more columns and made it
Yeah.
more bureaucratic. So
So-
basically, we'll put together a draft of that thing, get it to Don to send out. Previously, we had a committee that was Randy and Eric. The format has changed, so we can't use that old format. So instead of just, bringing draft of the old one, we need to put it in the new format and then get it to you as a draft.
Yeah, I'm not as much concerned about the format as we are about the deadline, but obviously the deadline's before we meet again.
Yeah.
So, what I'd like to do is do a authorization for me to sign if, once we circulate that we're okay with that. And if the items are significant enough that we need to do a called meeting to discuss them, then we'll do a called meeting to discuss. But if we circulate it and the items are okay, let's do an authorization tonight for me to go ahead and be okay with it.
Yeah,
Is
so-
that,
Yeah, that's correct. And so in that is the submittal of CIP projects in the first year, there's applications and things like that.
Right.
Before that go in as well. So, yeah, so approving, Don submitting all that is
So you need a motion on that?
yeah,
So I'll make a motion to approve you as the authority to approve or submit the new change format and to meet the November 11th deadline for the new CIP process?
And because it's accelerated, like Don said, and that's where we're making this little bit of adjustment, because typically we could come back in the next meeting and do that. They moved it up to November 11th, and we need almost a month to do all the paperwork and all that stuff, so that'll be terrific.
Motion.
all right. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Great. I'll add this as well, then we're gonna be meeting with Lisa again, but too, for Charlotte, just like we used to do with Faye and Miranda, for Charlene, for Lisa, all that, is that Stacy, is the CIP in the projects at your request to go, this is what we may have to have local share to match these, and then the fact that it's about June when you get word back whether any of that was funded, and at that point, you would be answering, yes, we would accept the project. So kind of that budget, we've done that kind of training thing before, but we would take this, what's put together, and then carry that over to the county side as well, so they're briefed on what's in the CIP and what you're trying to pursue. But it'll be
Yeah.
June before you know whether any of that would happen or not.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Is that all?
That's all. Other than that, we have nothing left. Randy apparently wants the beacon light up, so he's being a stickler, so we'll make that.
That candle doesn't last.
It does, yeah, right. That's right.
Load the approach.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, any
That's great.
questions for Phil?
That's a very impressive grouping of stuff.
Yeah.
Very much is.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for all your work.
Yes, thank you very much.
Right.
Yeah, that's all.
Jennifer and I was talking the other day of, actually when we were out there watching the Huey's Lamb, Ross Fletcher would have
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
been very amazed at what has been accomplished
We're
at
gonna
this little
tell you
airport.
an amazing thing is, so our son, when Ross, our son was a couple years old, and Ross was a deluge of Auburn propaganda, and he went to Auburn, but Auburn nightlight, and Auburn this, and Auburn this, and so our son is now a senior at Auburn, and the road that his apartment's on is Hemlock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's.
That's progress.
interesting. There you go. So, yeah. Cool.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think we've covered anything that was under old business that we needed to. Anything, any new business that needs to come before the authority? I was hoping not. Oh. All right, if not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Appreciate everybody.